Hey, good morning. Patricia Murphy here. It's Saturday. This is Seattle Now. Today we're bringing you the best from newsrooms around the Pacific Northwest. First, computer science researchers at the University of Washington are testing if a phone app can accurately monitor a fetus's heart rate during pregnancy. Pediatric cardiologists want to see more testing before it goes to market, and people use it to check on their pregnancies at home. KNKX's Anna Marie Yanni has more.
Brigitte Gehrig is a PhD student in computer science and engineering at UW. And she recently published a study testing if an iPhone's speaker and microphone can ultimately be used to estimate fetal heart rate. It's a process providers usually do in a clinic with ultrasound to check on the well-being of a fetus.
I truly believe that health belongs to everyone, so I want to use my computing expertise and create accessible health tools, especially for women's health.
Gehrig tested her tool in 23 pregnant patients at UW-Medicine. A machine learning model then used the iPhone audio to estimate fetal heart rate. Gehrig says those estimates ended up being within a clinically acceptable range of error.
I hope to bring it to the market so that people can access it.
But before that, she wants to test it on thousands of people to help train more sophisticated AI, including fetuses with irregular heartbeats. Dr. Bhavna Arya agrees. She's the fetal cardiology director at Seattle Children's Hospital. She'd like to see robust clinical studies on abnormal heart rates before the tool comes to market.
When you have an irregular heart rate or a slow heart rate or skip beats or fast beats, what will AI do? What do we need to teach the machine to know not to take those pieces away, but make sure that those are an important part of the evaluation?
Arya also wants to see data on how the at-home tool might impact anxiety for pregnant people. For example, would it give them peace of mind, or would it create more worry about the health of their fetus? I'm Anna Marie Yanni reporting.
Next, experts say there's a growing need for more people in the nuclear workforce as energy demands increase. At Washington State University's Nuclear Science Center, they're ramping up research and training to meet the need. NWPB's Rachel Sun reports.
Inside the reactor room at WSU's Nuclear Science Center, there's a big pool, inside of which you can see a nuclear reactor glowing a vibrant blue.
The core is glowing blue. There's no lights or anything down there. The radiation coming out of the core, some of it is in the form of electrons. Those electrons are traveling faster than the speed of light through water, and they create a wake effect called Cherenkov radiation.
That's Corey Hines, the center's director. He says the reactor, which reaches its 65th year in operation this week, isn't used for its energy output. It's used to produce radioisotopes that are sent to laboratories for research across the country. A radioisotope is an unstable form of an element that emits radiation as it changes into a more stable form. If that sounds complicated, the process for making them is quite simple.
We encase target material so it's watertight, and then put it next to the core. That's it.
That's what they've been doing for years, irradiating materials and shipping them off to laboratories for research. But for the first time in decades, the nuclear sector is seeing a lot of interest from government and private entities as energy needs climb. Kim Christian is the vice president for research at WSU. She says industry estimates predict a need for 300,000 more people in the nuclear workforce by 2050.
So we're developing a series of degrees, certificates, and micro-credentials that will meet people where they're at.
WSU already trains students to operate their nuclear reactor and expects more to earn their certificates this year. But Hines says there's still untapped potential as the nuclear sector grows.
And what we're hearing from industry is we need people way earlier on to get interested in this, because we need people that are health physicists, that are radiochemists, that are welders, that are technicians, that are hot cell operators.
What's a hot cell? Well, hot is an informal term used to describe how radioactive something is. More radiation equals more hotness. Put simply, hot cells are very well-insulated boxes that allow scientists to safely work with highly radioactive material. They weigh in around 300,000 pounds each, and WSU is in its first stage of building a hot cell facility right now. Christian says those could eventually allow for more advanced research with those radioisotopes that are already being produced.
It can come out of the pool, it can go into the hot cell, the researcher can do their research, we can get those results out the door that day to the customer, which could be the US government, it could be a fusion company.
The first part of that project was funded by a congressional earmark of $7.6 million and is set to be completed this summer. Phase 2 of the project will be to add the actual hot cells. That second phase could take over 2 years and cost anywhere from $23 million to $43 million. The university has yet to secure that funding, but Christian says that public-private partnerships, as well as federal funding, are on the table. I'm Rachel Sun in Pullman.
And finally, Oregon has hundreds of invasive species, from English ivy to nutria. And despite valiant efforts, not one has ever been completely eradicated. But as Christian Fodenvenzel reports, the state came within 1 day of announcing it was feral-swine free. And then another wild pig appeared.
After 16 years trying to rid Oregon of its invasive species, Rick Boatner is now retired and happy to make a curious journalist a cup of coffee. Of all the things he did during his career, he remembers the day in 2022, after 2 years without one report of a wild pig, that his office was about to announce a successful eradication effort.
We were going to put the news release out on that Monday. And that Sunday, a guy over by Shanico shot a pig.
Spanish explorer Hernando de Soto is believed to have introduced the first domestic pigs to the U.S. around 1540. Passing sailing ships also dropped them off in the hope the next time the crews sailed by, there'd be a population from which to resupply. Pigs can have 12 piglets a litter and 2 litters a year, so populations grow quickly. Settler accounts tell of raucous feral swine running through Astoria, tearing down clotheslines. Still, as Europeans spread across the nation, feral swine populations faded. Then sometime in the 1900s, unidentified hunters reintroduced them, this time for sport.
We have a deer season that goes through October and then elk in November, so it's very limited. And hunters like to hunt all year long. And, feral swine, there's no limit. They're a challenge. You can shoot as many as you want.
While a domesticated pig isn't threatening, after a couple of generations in the wild, the animals can change from fat, hairless little porkers to massive, hairy beasts. And hunters enjoy the sport. Feral swine are big, 400 pounds or more. They're fast, with bursts of 30 miles per hour, and they can be dangerous.
They have tusks that are 2 or 3 inches long, and they're razor sharp, so they will try to cut you with their tusk. I know a lot of hunters would call and go, well, I'm going to try to take them with my .22. And that's not a big enough gun. I've seen them take a lot of lead and keep on going.
In 2009, it's estimated several thousand feral pigs were roaming Oregon, rooting up fields and ruining stream sides to build their wallows.
Pigs can't sweat, so they have to be in water or in mud in the riparian zone to stay cool.
And that is not good for salmon. Oregon's legislature passed a bill to eradicate feral swine. The Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife set out baited corral traps into which entire families of pigs would walk. They'd be euthanized, but one animal would be spared, what's known as a Judas pig. A transmitter was strapped to the luckless swine so that when it returned to another group, hunters could follow. The legislature also came up with a seemingly incongruous law. It made it illegal to sell a feral swine hunt. You might have thought they'd encourage hunts to kill more pigs, but Boatner says Oregon's law removed the financial incentive.
So that was a big component, so people wouldn't be bringing more in.
In Texas, California, and Hawaii, which still allow the sale of feral swine hunts, eradication efforts haven't been nearly as successful as in Oregon. The thought is, for-profit hunts keep bringing in more pigs to meet demand. And while feral swine are now all but eradicated in Oregon, animals do slip across the border. ODFW Invasive Species Coordinator Keith DeHart says they hunt them down with the Oregon Department of Agriculture.
Once those are removed, we then kind of just go back into waiting mode and wait for reports to pop up again.
There's a hotline called squealonpigs.com for anyone who sees a feral swine. Meanwhile, there are a few twists to this tale. First, there are businesses like Four Aces Ranch east of Madras where it is possible to kill a pig in the wild. The company didn't return emails from OPB, but essentially they'll sell you a pig to eat, but you have to find it and kill it on their land. It's also butchered there, so you can go home with the meat.
Well, the law says you cannot sell feral-swine hunts. It does not say you cannot slaughter pigs. So that's the wiggle room they're using.
The second twist in the tale is that eradication efforts in southwest Oregon were minimal, but for some unknown reason that population has faded too.
And there's some disease or something, we just don't know. What wiped them out? I don't know, maybe Bigfoot got them all, I don't know.
Maybe Sasquatch likes bacon.
Bacon.
That's my headline.
There we go, Sasquatch likes bacon. That might have been, who knows?
Well, it's a fun idea. I'm Christian Foden-Wenzel reporting.
Appreciate you listening to Seattle Now, and thanks so much to our generous donors for your support. You can help us out by clicking the link in the show notes and rating the show on your favorite podcast app. Our production team includes Caroline Chamberlain Gomez, Vaughn Jones, Andy Hurst, Brooklyn Jamerson Flowers, and Paige Browning. Greg Kramer does our theme music. Seattle Now and KUOW Public Radio are members of the NPR network. I'm Patricia Murphy. See you soon.